What this guy said is the epitome of the workforce worldwide, probably. In particular, I'm speaking to Black Americans. Black people, how do you feel? Do you feel this way? Check this out.
Motherfuckers always asking me my dream job, like I just like working. I tell people all the time, bro, my dream job is to not have a job. I hate clocking in. I hate talking to managers. I hate having meetings. I hate having coworkers. I hate having to wait on a paycheck. I hate this. I really hate this. I hate working this job. I hate working a job. I tell people this all the time. I don't want a job. I don't want a job. I want to act. I want to rap because like that, it don't feel like a job. I want to do that doesn't feel like a job. It don't feel like a job. I got to wake up in the morning and swipe a card, or I got to get on Chronos and log in, get on ADT, log in. I got to receive a call from my manager and be like, hey, did you do this? I don't want to hear none of this. I'm tired of this. On my mama, I'm 2 milliseconds away from slapping my manager, my boss, and all my coworkers. I swear to God, and whoever owned this company, and whoever owned a company. I swear to God, I hate working. We always get underpaid. Nah, but I don't like this. I don't like this. And I really hate the fact that I got to depend on this right now. But one day, I'm not going to need to depend on this. One day.
That one day I have a dream attitude is what propels you and keeps you going until you just walk in or call them on the phone and say, I'm done. I'll be back. Hey, welcome back. Let's get into this. That clip of the guy talking about how much he hated his job, I know that resonated with so many people on so many different levels. You want to know why, if not the majority of Americans hate their jobs with a severity that should be studied? It's because of the way some employers treat their employees, and the way some of these employers treat their employees can be directly linked to slavery. And I know some of you don't want to hear about slavery, but that's too damn bad. We don't like dealing with the repercussions of slavery, which is racism. But here's your plain drawn out link to how they treat all workers like slaves, regardless of your ethnicity or race. Around 2 years after slavery supposedly ended, Major General Gordon Granger and his soldiers toured the country informing ex-slaves that they is free. But here's how they traded in physical chains for psychological chains. The Juneteenth order came with precise stipulations that kept slavery intact by a different method. The method was to make them think they are free, but not letting them feel free. Granger's order declared that all slaves are free, but that the relationship between the former masters and slaves should become that between employer and hired labor. And there was an article written in the Richmond Examiner in 1864 that said, Southern men should act as if the Negro is here and here forever, is never to be emancipated, is to be kept hard at work and in rigid subjection all his days. The determination to impose a new regimen of white domination was unambiguously expressed by a pro-slavery clergyman proclaiming liberty for the white man, slavery for the niggers, as long as the white man is able to hold him. And these can be verified. So the next time you guys want to say slavery, like somebody wrote in a comment, I don't even remember what video it was on, but they wrote in a comment, it could have been a short I did, they wrote in a comment saying slavery ended in 1864. I said, yeah, on paper, but in some people's hearts and minds it never ended. I wasn't put in chains, you're correct, but I was forced to deal with the repercussions of slavery. You weren't slave masters, but some of you guys perpetuate the sickening, perverted, barbaric mentality your ancestors had. Let's continue. I firmly believe that jobs steal and destroy your passions. Whatever passions you have, some jobs kill it. You end up finding yourself in an abusive relationship with your job / employer. You need a job to keep a roof over your head. Your employers know this as well, but your meager wages are designed to keep your head floating barely above water. On top of the slave wages, you deal with constant dehumanizing treatment, condescending random outbursts by incompetent supervisors and our managers, ass-kissing co-workers who barely do their jobs. They nitpick, bully, harass damn near everyone, but they're always picked for promotions and raises. Why do owners or managers pick the most incompetent, out-of-touch people to manage you? Simple. You're their modern slave, and they cannot care any less about how you feel. You need a check. Most people will overlook how they are being treated when money is involved, no matter how meager the amount is. I worked for mass transportation for a little over 9 years. Every day I would ask God why. That job covered up the passion I had to do other things. I couldn't feel them anymore. Plus, the corporation was passive-aggressive racist. We're talking about Southern California, the biggest mass transportation company in Southern California. In the 90s, they found out that Hispanics in the human resource department were throwing away applications of black people. They were investigated, but I don't believe they eliminated the racism or prejudice within that company. But it's America. Who would expect anything less, right? When I was there, the new CEO targeted older black employees to fire who had 27 to 30 years under their belt. And the reason why they wanted to get rid of them is because they were paying them a whole lot of money. I experienced something that truly made it clear that the company was not your safety net and you were nothing to them but a number. There was an incident I was in, and even though I had a witness who was also a cool associate, the new manager still tried to come for me. It was a very eye-opening and humiliating experience. One morning I had the displeasure of dealing with a woman who had just had this major attitude and was obviously having a bad morning, but tried to take it out on me. I can't recall exactly how the interaction began, but she ended up saying she was going to file a complaint. I told her to do as she pleased in not such a good kind of way. I was pissed and irritated. When it came down to it, my cool associate would be my witness. He didn't have to fabricate anything on my behalf, as I didn't do anything wrong, and I wouldn't have told him to lie for me. I'm not that kind of person. Around a week later, my associate told me that the manager reached out to him. Mind you, this is a huge transportation corporation in Southern California. I wanted to just remind you again. Anywho, the manager asked him what he witnessed. Even after my cool associate explained what he witnessed, he said he got the impression that the manager tried to manipulate him into saying I was at fault. He went on to say it was quite strange to see an employer wanting to see their employee in the wrong instead of being happy that their employee was clear from doing anything that violated their contract. He didn't say contract thing. I added that there. My cool associate said that the manager spent significant time on the phone trying to low-key get him to say I was in the wrong. When we were face to face and he was telling me what he experienced with my manager, he gave me such a look of compassion, understanding, and sorrow. I wanted to walk off the job at that moment. I said to myself, it has to be something better than this. When you find out that your manager is after you for no reason, that's a stressful, uncertain way to feel. But I didn't stay with the company too long after that. My reasons for leaving had nothing to do with what happened. It was completely had nothing to do with that. I have been gone since 2011, I believe. And I tell you, it's still, when I think about that company, a little too hard. For real, it might sound like I'm joking, but it just feel like, cringe. Like, you don't like your job and stressed out because you're being targeted. Who wants to deal with that? You don't want to deal with that. You don't most of the time don't want to go to work. And then when you got to go deal with, irritating, unprofessional, sorry, miserable supervisors and managers, it just make your life just oppressive. I ran into this article because I was doing a little research on just how many people, particularly Americans, do not like their jobs. Check out this title. American workers hate their jobs so much that nearly half of them wouldn't wish it on their worst enemy. That title just hit me like, oh my God. And you know how some people could really just despise a person that they call their enemy? If you don't even want that person you despise to have your job, that's bad. The article goes on to say, if the opposite of hate is indifferent, suffice it to say that most workers in the U.S. aren't quite indifferent toward their employees. In a global study of 2,200 employees, the Workforce Institute at HR software firm UKG found that 38% of workers said they wouldn't wish their job on their worst enemy. That figure jumped to 45% among U.S. workers, and nearly half, 40% of all workers surveyed, including nearly a third of C-suite execs, wouldn't recommend their company or profession to their children or any young person that they care about. While employees, HR leaders, and C-suite leaders alike all said they wanted financial security for their kids, they all agreed they'd urge their children to pursue work that gives them the chance to care for and spend time with family. It's personally meaningful and makes them fulfilled and ensures a successful career path. If they could go back in time, more than half, 53% of global employees would choose a completely different profession, and 40% said they wish someone had warned them not to take their current job. Nearly 2/3 of employees said they'd switch jobs right now if they could, and nearly half didn't even want to work anymore at all. Too bad it's become a lot harder than expected for workers to find a new role. Workers' dominant feeling toward work is that it's a transaction. More than 3 in 5 workers admit they go to work to collect a paycheck, clock out, and go home. Just 11% of workers feel their job is their calling. And I know on Fridays I used to feel like I hit the lottery. I used to wake up and wake up in the morning and walk with a pep in my step because it was Friday and I didn't have to come back to that slave plantation until Monday morning. It's so sad to feel that way. I mean, I was all customer service. Like, I was the poster child, the poster person, or poster employee for great customer service just because it was Friday, and that's sad. And I wasn't the only one. I mean, you walk in the morning, people just looking a little happier, get off of work, seeing your coworkers. They smiling, we all smiling like, oh my God, you would have swore somebody gave us $1 million. That is terrible. Let's continue. It may not be shocking that workers feel apathetic, if not openly angry about the work they are doing. Since the pandemic, workers have been reevaluating their jobs and how they fit into their lives, and have emerged with a renewed sense of seriousness about their work-life balance and higher expectations about what their job should provide them. People are disheartened because work is failing to meet their expectations, and there has been a shift in how people view the role of work in their lives. Chris Mullen, PhD, Executive Director of the Workforce Institute at UKG, wrote in a study, While workers care most about lively income, personal fulfillment, and a respectful relationship with their superiors, small things companies can do to ease workers' day-to-day burdens can go on an especially long way. Some companies, sensing the morality decreasing, employee loyalty decreasing, causing a great resignation, have taken matters into their own hands, offering exceedingly luxe perks like personal assistance and on-site laundry service. Is that really enough to change the morale? I mean, it seemed like those things they're offering maybe go to high-level executives and managers, What about the entry-level employees or the employees that's been there for like 15, 20 years? What you do for them? Instead of giving them the perks, why don't you just give everybody a raise? And I'm talking about a raise that's more than a few dollars. I remember somebody I used to talk to was so ecstatic and happy that her husband got a 25-cent raise. But of course, I wasn't going to be like, girl, is that it? I was like, oh, okay, that's so cool. But, when I got off the phone, I was telling my sister, and we both looked at each other like, wow, you excited over 25 cents? I might have felt that way when I was 15 and had a little job when I was my first job. 25 cent, 50 cent raise, please. But when I got older and you offer me a 25-cent raise, you know what I wanted to say. You could take that 25 cent and you know what you can do with it. That's an insult. My life and time is only worth 25 cents. Let's continue. So I was trying to look for articles talking about how much black folks hate their jobs, and that I couldn't find any specific articles like that, but it just was talking about a lot of systemic racism and discrimination and disparity and low paying jobs. It just talks about how black people are stuck in low paying jobs and don't have opportunities for good jobs or promotions and things of that nature. But I'm going to just read a little article. One of the articles that I picked, it was titled African Americans Face Systemic Obstacles to Getting Good Jobs Despite an Improved Labor Market. And sometimes when I look at TV shows or dramas or something, a documentary or somebody's blog that's white, and you hear about some of their jobs they have, especially the ones that get to travel around the world and make lots of money doing something that you didn't really know was a job, but they're getting paid for it, they're getting perks, they're able to travel and they get expenses, and it's like, why are they the majority of the ones that get these jobs? It's rare that I hear a black person ecstatic about some kind of job like that. Okay, let's go on. Black Americans still can't obtain well-paying, stable jobs with quality benefits, says an article written in 2019. The U.S. labor market has now seen a record of 109 months of uninterrupted job growth, with the overall unemployment rate falling to its lowest level in 50 years. However, black American workers still face more hurdles to get a job, never mind a good one, than their white counterparts. They continue to face systemically higher unemployment rates, fewer job opportunities, lower pay, poorer benefits, and greater job instability. These persistent differences reflect systemic barriers to quality jobs, such as outright discrimination against black American workers, as well as occupational segregation, whereby black American workers often end up in lower paid jobs than whites, and segmented labor markets in which black workers are less likely than white workers to get hired into stable, well-paying jobs, despite black American workers having increased access to jobs and actually getting more jobs. Labor market outcomes, including higher unemployment and fewer jobs, continue to be worse for black American workers and their families. And the cold part is, now you have foreigners coming over here legally and illegally taking jobs. And you can say, well, they're taking, yes, they are. I'm so tired of going to the medical field, going into medical doctors, going into medical hospitals, going into hospitals, going into the medical doctor, and the majority of the people you see, receptionists, Hispanic, nurses, Hispanic, or if they're not Hispanic, they're Vietnamese, they're everybody but black. And when I do see a black American nurse or technician or even doctor, I'm like, what? I'm talking about black American, not African. It's either the Africans, Asians, Hispanics that make up the medical field, and whites. And if you want to still be in this country seeing this drastic change, landscape change when it comes to the workforce, and still deny that there's systemic racism, something's wrong with you, because there are highly qualified black folks. I think I said sometime before that I personally know people who have multiple degrees, black women who go through so many problems when it comes to getting promotions, when it comes to getting raises. And then you have somebody to come in and don't do their job and not required to do their jobs. And then the black women are indirectly being forced to do their jobs for them. Yep. I personally know someone who told me this. It was this Hispanic dude, young dude, that didn't really have to go to work, and the sister was being indirectly told to do his job, even when he effed up. She was being told to come in and clean up behind. I was like, girl, please. I would have sued him and that whole job and supervisor manager. And that young man, his video where he was venting and expressing with passion how he felt about his job, it just brought so many things to my mind. My personal experiences with jobs, the research I have been finding in regards to slavery, in regards to the discrimination and disenfranchisement and abuse against black Americans. So many things came to my mind. And then when he said, they don't want to pay you. How many black people I met who say the same thing? Taraji even said, and this woman is a Hollywood actress, known around the world. So, they paying her terrible. What you think they pay people who work regular jobs? Or black people who have careers, who are doctors, lawyers, and work in corporate America? Anyway, folks, there's a solution to every problem. I remember there was a time they kept pumping out articles talking about how employers were just not liking that employees didn't want to go back to work. They wanted to still stay at home and work at home remotely and not go back into the office. And I'm like, do you blame them? At least, at home, they might have to deal with their children and what have you. They don't have to deal with an incompetent jerk who is unfortunately their manager or supervisor, breathing over their neck, always finding something to nitpick, always see their mistakes but don't see Emily's mistake, and they damn near don't even really know how to do their job. There's a solution, folks. Imagine what would happen to corporate America, white corporate America, if all employees walked off the job. You guys can keep the problem with America, you guys like to complain, but when it comes to actions, you like a fish dead in the water. I experienced that so many times. That's one reason why I refuse to be a crusader. If you got a problem with something, you don't like it, we're gonna work together and we're gonna deal with it. I'm not gonna be the one at the forefront and then taking all the heat and all the fire, and you hide your little ass in the background, and then when we win, you benefiting, but you didn't want to be at the forefront with me. You got the game twisted. There is a solution to every problem. The thing is, the question is, how many are bold to do it? How many are bold enough to do it? Or you just want to keep complaining? Some people just like complaining because they ain't got nothing else to do. But when it comes to push gonna shove, they are not gonna do anything but just complain. So until you really ready to make that change and just stop talking and complaining, you just gonna deal with it. You're gonna wake up every morning miserable because you got to go to that effed up job and deal with them effed up employers and effed up managers and supervisors and sorry co-workers, because that's how you start feeling when you hate your job. You're like, oh my God, if I go and see their face one more time, it make you just want to quit and be homeless. Well, I don't know about that, I was just being exaggerating, but I'd rather work than be homeless on the streets. And being homeless is like $1 billion industry. You know, so many people getting so many non-profits and community leaders are getting so much money, so many resources for this homeless epidemic, and you know, a lot of that money is getting pocketed. You know, so I don't think too many people want this homelessness to go away. All right, but thank you for your time. I'm about to shut up this shop. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. I hope you listen to the full video. Thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing, folks. As a do a channel good. Be safe. See you in the next video.